Welcome to the Strategic Coaching Moment. Today, we're going to take a look at the 3 dependency traps that keep you underpaid. Let's talk about something that most people on the business side don't say out loud. Withholding insights is sometimes a deliberate strategy, not because people want to be manipulative, but because they don't trust the relationship to hold if they give too much. So in the end, it gets framed as being strategic, but from the other side of the table, it feels like mistrust and deception. And mistrust doesn't protect revenue, it erodes it. So let's take a look at the problem and where things go sideways. Everyone wants to be seen as a trusted advisor, but many professionals unintentionally create dependency, thinking that it'll make them more valuable. Instead, it actually makes them replaceable because dependency isn't partnership, dependency is control. And control always breaks trust. So if you are, for example, a coach and you're coaching someone and you're holding back information and they feel like you're holding back information, that's going to make them question how much they should trust you. So let's take a look at what's really happening. There are 3 dependency traps that quickly undermine your credibility, even when your intentions are good. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. So let's take a look at trap 1, withholding information. This one is subtle. The thinking goes, if I give away too much, they won't need me. But here's what's actually happening. When you withhold insights, you're not protecting the value. You're signaling that the relationship is fragile. This can be the relationship with the audience before they become a customer. This can be with the customers. And it also signals to the competitors out there that you don't have enough confidence in your process, that if you share what you're supposed to be able to share, that you're going to be able to retain that customer. Now, what does this do? It also opens up the door for them to be able to fill in the blanks and the blind spots that you're not covering. So when you withhold information, you open the door for a competitor to step in and share the information that you're not sharing and make it seem like brand new information that only that person understood. So where that original client, audience, or whomever may have trusted you, now they have this shiny new person and shiny new insight that makes them feel like, well, maybe you were only good enough to get me to this point, and now I need to switch over to this person to be able to get me to that next stage and to that next level. So when you withhold insights, you're not protecting value. You're actually giving people reason to question the value. And when you make that kind of relationship fragile, fragile relationships don't scale. They don't retain and they don't refer. So if the people feel like you don't know the insights and you don't know this extra information that they feel like they needed to know right in that moment at that time because you were withholding it, then it opens the door for them to question how much you really know and how much of an expert are you. Strategic partners share the why, not just the what. And if someone takes a consultation, gets clarity, and decides to DIY it, that's not a loss, that's self-selection. They were never meant to be your client. So withholding information when you're on consultations, withholding information when you're having conversations, it can be a blessing and a curse. Yes, you don't want to be able to give information away to tire kickers and have people get on calls to pick your brain because you know what it is that you're looking at and hearing when they're doing it. They're saying, tell me all the things that I need to be able to know, and I'll decide whether I want to be able to pay you to be able to help me get it done after you give me the information. That's not a fun experience for the people on the expert side of things to say, you're trying to get all of the information that I had to work hard to get and may have experienced trials and tribulations to be able to get. And you want that information for free. And then you'll say on the back end, you know what, maybe I can do this myself and I don't need to pay you for it. You gave me enough to be able to get me started. It sucks. Let's be honest. But at the same time, for the audience that is your audience, for the clients that are meant to be your clients, withholding that information does more harm than good. So if you're worried about the tire kickers, better to get the tire kickers and the people that are looking to get information for free out of the way. Give them what they need so that they can go out and attempt to do it on their own. But more than not, what happens is they attempt to do it on their own and then realize that they can't do it on their own. And then I can end up turning someone that was a no into a not right now, or turning a not right now into someone that actually is a client and values you because they realize, you know what, I try to do it on myself on my own and I can't. Let's take a look at trap 2, keeping clients weak. Some professionals, they hesitate to teach their process because they believe that knowledge is their leverage. But here's the irony. We don't trust the person who keeps us dependent. We trust the person who makes us stronger. So when you empower someone and you give them the information, you're allowing them to make a conscious decision to be able to continue to work with you. You're allowing them to be able to have the information that allows them to say, you know what, this is the right person to work with. And here's why. Because one of the other factors to consider is you're not just working with that person. You're not just dealing with that one person. You're dealing with everyone in their life. And there are other priorities that are constantly battling to be able to say, well, instead of paying that person, take that money and put it towards this thing or put it towards that thing. There are so many different factors that you have to be able to consider. And you're not just battling the known, you're battling the unknown. So by withholding information or keeping a client weak, you don't know if you're opening the door for someone else to be able to provide an objection that actually could cost you that client. So not trusting that person and keeping them dependent doesn't necessarily make it so that you have the leverage. It actually puts the leverage at risk. So when clients understand your process, they don't value you less. They actually value you more because it means that you were able to communicate yourself in a way that they not only understand, but they see the value in what it is that you're offering. So empowerment builds partnership and weakness builds resentment. Let's take a look at trap three, confusing control with value. Some people think they're indispensable because everything runs through them. But if every decision needs your approval, clients aren't impressed. They're constrained. So if you're making someone have to come to you to be able to get answers for anything that's part of their day to day, then you're essentially turning them into an employee in their own business instead of being the business owner. And if you look at it from that standpoint, how many people are really going to be happy to have that experience? So control doesn't create loyalty, clarity does, insight does, and leadership does. What you have to be able to do is you have to empower them to be in a position so that when these decisions come up, when they're asked these questions, they have the clarity to be able to answer them. They have the insights to be able to expand on them. And they have the leadership to be able to say, you know what? I'm the right person to be able to have this conversation with. Or let me get back to you and I will be able to talk to the person that can give me the information and make that leadership decision of, I don't need to be the person that knows everything. I need to be the person that knows who to go ask. So with that, if you think about it from that standpoint, withholding information and trying to control everything just makes you more responsible. And you're not the one that has to face the consequences. And because you're not the one that has to face the consequences of not having the answers when the answers are needed, then that makes someone have reasons to hold a grudge against you. And that's not a situation that you want to be able to have when you're trying to retain that client and get that recurring revenue. So you're indispensable when your thinking elevates them, not when you control and restrict them. So let's reframe this and look at a more mature model. One of the reasons that I love frameworks is because it allows me to be able to bake in milestones. And those milestones allow me to be able to have exit strategies. So this isn't just for me and it's not just for the client, it's for both of us. If we start working on a project, halfway through the project, I may realize this may be somebody that isn't a good fit for my business. This isn't someone that meshes with me personality wise, and it makes it harder to be able to get the work done. Personally, I know that I move at a certain pace. So if I'm working with someone that says, oh, I'm going to get something done, and 2 or 3 weeks go by and they didn't get it done, then it's a question for me to be able to say, okay, how committed are you to this? Because if I want it more than you want it, then it starts to become a problem. So when you start to think about things like that, as a business owner, if you start to see red flags, you don't want to be in a process or on a project that you can't exit out of. And then let's look at it from the other side of the table. I also want to be able to empower a client to get to the point where they don't need me. And I've empowered them to the point where they can do the work themselves, or they know the work well enough to be able to make a choice to say, you know what, I love everything that you taught me, but personality wise, we may not be at the best pace. We may not be the best fit. And that's okay because the ideal is to be able to work with people that want to work with you, not force people to have to work with you or not force people into feeling like they're going to be clients because those people don't refer. Those people aren't brand champions. Those people aren't people that you can put other clients or other audiences in contact with to be able to provide context. They're not good testimonials. They're not good customer success stories. And they're not case studies that you really get to leverage because if they ever want to speak to that client, that's not going to hold up. So This is why I like milestones. This is why I like frameworks. It empowers you to hold on to the people that will help you grow your business and start to weed out the people that drag down your business. And at the end of each milestone, we ask the question, is this something that now that we've covered this project, now that we've reached this milestone, now that we've hit that destination of success, is this something that you want to be able to continue on with? Or is this something that you feel like you want to be able to venture out on your own with? And just asking that question alone gives them the control back. It makes them the hero in their own story and allows them to be able to make the conscious decision as opposed to taking it away from them. Again, it allows them to be the business owner and the person in control of their business, calling the shots. And that's something that empowers them and allows them to be able to make more conscious choices with a certain level of confidence and confidence. So let's talk about the stakes. What this will cost you if you continue to ignore it. If you're someone that's withholding content, withholding insights, and you think that you're being strategic about it to be able to stretch it out and be able to get more revenue, then in the end of the day, when that person gets to the point where they catch on to that, then it's going to end up costing you revenue. If you're someone that doesn't want to share too much information because you're scared if you give away too much information, that person won't stay, then here's the counter to that. What happens if you don't share that information and the next person pops up and shares it, and it makes that person look like they were the smartest person, but you knew that information all along? When you get that call and they say they want to step away and they say, well, I want to step away and work with this person because they shared this insight. When you say, oh, well, I knew that, then that's just one more reason on top of them thinking that that person is smarter. They're probably going to look at you and say, well, if you knew that information, why didn't you give it to me? And if you knew that information and you didn't give it to me, then that means that you had your own agenda as to why you didn't do it. And your agenda was more important than the results that you were trying to deliver to me. A lot of reasons why it can cost you, and there are consequences to withholding information, to trying to be the person in control, and trying to drive the situation so that you can continue to drive in revenue. It stops making it about the person and being solution orientated and providing results. And it turns you into the person that's holding the puppet strings and trying to make sure that you manipulate that situation in a way that's advantageous for you, more so than advantageous for them. And that's really not what they're paying you for. So ask yourself, which trap am I falling into? And what is it really costing me? If you want to build deeper partnerships without creating dependency, the Strategic Partnership Transition Toolkit walks you through that shift step by step. The link's in the description, and I want to thank you for your time. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and I will see you in the next episode.